geoholic.
All right, here we are. This is day 2, 2025 Pacific Rim Geospatial Conference. We just got out of the opening session there. And I don't know about you, Nick. I am super jazzed about today. We had a great day yesterday. Talked to, I think, about 7 or 8 people, or interviewed them, talked to, I think, just about everybody here. And I think we've got a good, busy, packed day today. What do you think?
I think we are packed. Yeah. It has been absolutely fantastic getting to meet all the wonderful people. We've interviewed people from American Samoa. We've been talking to people, obviously, from Hawaii, from the mainland. It's also great to see that a bunch of our sponsors are also in the room.
I know. It's great to connect. Esri's here. Carlson's here. The guy from Esri said something like they're the world leader of what they do, and the first thing I thought of is we are the world leader of geospatial podcasts. I can confidently say that.
Yeah, I see the gold star you put on your jacket.
Right.
You know, I just want to say one more thing. The conference theme is La Lima.
Yes.
You know, and I have just never seen the collaboration between land surveyors and the GIS community that I see here, and so. Everybody else needs to freaking model what they're doing.
I was just about to say that, like the one takeaway that we're going to have after this week, and we get to take back to all the other people that we talked to is it can be done. We've seen it successfully done, and I think that this group has set the mold.
You know, I had one more brief thought. Kona Coffee also leads to some solid collaboration. This stuff is jet fuel.
I know, that's
Holy cow.
great thing about one of 1,000 great things about being here is the coffee is amazing. So let's kick this off. We have Alika here. I got to give him a little plug. He's been super supportive of us and help get everything set up and all the coordination coming into this week, and has been really helpful the whole time. And it's been a great pleasure meeting and hanging out with him. So Alika, if you can, give us your name, who you're with, and what you do.
Hi, Alika Garo. I'm a licensed land surveyor in Hawaii. I work for Sam Hirota, Inc. I'm serving on the Hawaii Land Surveyors Association board as the vice president from 2024 to 2025. Our states change up every conference, so that's why this next year I'm going to be involved, but not on the board of directors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So. You have your day job and then your other job of, helping pull this off. Yeah. Talk a little bit about what it took to make this conference happen.
So I believe this is the 3rd joint conference, and I like what you guys say of how our GIS community in Hawaii and the survey community come together and collaborate. So this is our 3rd joint conference, and I think the first one that we had was, of course, pre-COVID in 2018 or 19, I believe. And believe it or not, as what you see today, the first one, it wasn't as smooth as it was because it's different personalities just of different professions.
But you weren't managing it then, right?
I actually was. Well, throw me under the bus, but I've been part of the board of directors since 2015.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of used it to help me get my license. Being a professional land surveyor, it's not like other professions where it requires a degree. And I'm one of those ones who took the path of at least getting the experience. And,
okay.
So right out of high school, I was able to just pick up the land surveying profession. But as me, and I know a lot of competent surveyors out in Hawaii, whenever someone has a discrepancy with the survey you did, the first person that they think of is themselves, and they double check, triple check themselves.
Fair.
That's really interesting. I got to circle back to one thing you said, and I can't understate it because it's real. You talked about you joined this committee to almost as a way to help you get your license.
Yes.
You kind of glossed over that, but can you circle back and what did that provide you in your career, and how did you why did you make that decision?
So that's really interesting because again, I wasn't educated in college, and I felt that this is a great opportunity to help project management, even though it's not related to the profession and the work that you do. You get to reach out, network, and work with other people of having an end task. Yeah.
I got to say, brilliant, because
Brilliant.
not a lot of some people would think, oh, I don't have the education, so I can't do, and then they would just kind of sit around and wait. But there are other things you can do, and networking in the community, so to speak.
Yes.
Really, I'm sure you can attest that and did a lot for you, right?
Right. But it's also the individual yourself, because I don't consider myself a smart guy. In Hawaii, it requires 11 years with a high school diploma to qualify for to become licensed.
I've done very little in my life. Many years. I'm just going to throw that out there. So that is some fortitude.
And the thing is, I believe the pass rate for the fundamentals of surveying, I think it's like 60%, and then the professionals, the second one, is also about around 67% passing rate.
Yeah.
And what discouraged me a lot was that throughout my whole entire career, I know of a lot of people who's been doing it longer than I have, and the exams is really tough, and they were never able to get their license. So that kind of, when I reached my 11 years, I always told myself, okay, I'll find time to study and get ready for it and this and that. But, life gets in the way, kids, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
When I came about the 15-year mark, I believe, my bosses two of my bosses talked to me individually, separately, and they were like, "Are you going to take your test or not?" And they're like, "Just take it. Even if you fail, just take it." And so it's kind of strange. The funny thing is, so one of my bosses said it, and then later on that day, my other boss told me the same thing. So I was like, okay, I'll just schedule my first exam. Mm-hmm. The funny thing is, I scheduled it on my birthday. So all my other coworkers are like, why would you do that? And I was like, I would be studying for all that time as a birthday celebration. I'll just take my exam, and I just feel that way. And the tough thing is, I studied really hard, and I took a very unorthodox approach in studying, because there's no schooling for surveying, and because the last time I went to school was in high school. I did like reverse studying. I took all the practice test exams I did.
Yeah.
You have all the answers, and it's like reverse engineering and find out why is this the answer. So it's really an unorthodox approach.
But I think it's
genius.
Exactly. Because a test is just a test, and there's no right path to understanding the content.
So I'm also bad at test taking, and when I was getting my Part 107 drone test, you got to take all that, I did the same thing. I just studied the questions and the answers.
Yeah.
I didn't put the book up, and I basically retro-engineered, and it worked. So, as long as you learned it.
Yeah, just as long as you learn the material somehow. The unfortunate thing is, not always the questions that you're studying for, it's not always going to be exact to what is on the actual exam.
So what's the future hold for you? What's your plan in the industry, and are you going to continue to support the conferences, and where do you see that going?
Well, as an organization with HLSA, I did say that I'm stepping back this way, but I'm always going to be supportive, and I'm always going to help them out. Professionally, I would prefer, or I always wish to improve myself and grow. I'm really happy at where I'm at. The private firm I am, Sam Hirota Inc. They've been in business over 62 years, so I don't see myself leaving anytime soon.
Okay.
Right. Well, I'm not going to ask him to come work for me.
Yeah. Right. Anything else you want to get out there before we let you get back to work?
I don't think so. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate the coverage. I like what you guys do. I love the show that you guys put on the podcast.
I appreciate that. We do have one question that we've been asking everybody, and then you're no different. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
I have a feeling he's got a good one.
Other than have a great, awesome mustache.
Yeah, dude. Super awesome.
Well, I guess I don't have a mantra, but then the way I do things is, if you're going to do something, do it 110% and always give what you got. No matter what.
Amen.
Love that. Alika, thank you so much for, again, all the support you've given us and helping us get here and get us all going. And enjoy the rest of the show. And thank you again.
Mahalo. Thanks, man.
Okay, we're back. We have Cliff with us. Cliff, if you can, give us your name, who you're with, and what you do.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cliff Yim. I am a licensed professional surveyor in the state of Hawaii, and I work for Hawaiian Electric Company.
Okay. Tell us a little bit more about your day-to-day job.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I am the lead land surveyor of our group. So
Okay. How big is the group?
We have 6 individuals on the island of Oahu, and then we have 3 individuals on the island of Hawaii, which we also call Big Island. So a total of 9 small group.
All right.
So I'm sorry, I don't know. So does all of Hawaii, is it one power utility company that manages all the different islands, or?
Yes. So there are multiple, of course, there are 8 major islands in this state. And Hawaiian Electric Company actually serve the city and county of Honolulu, which is the island of Oahu, as well as the county of Hawaii, which is the Big Island. That's include the entire island. And also the county of Maui, which consists of 3 different islands, which is the island of Maui, island of Molokai, and there's another tiny island that
Okay.
maybe you get 1 or 2 residents.
So how long is the power line that connects all the islands?
Oh, it's
water?
we use laser. No, I'm just joking. We have underwater power cable basically, and each island also has its own generation plant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is it redundant system? I'm guessing.
Actually, I might take it back. We don't have underwater cables. I think it relies on each island's generation.
Okay, got it. What's the biggest challenge as the surveyor for the power company?
We are not the most likable surveyor in the state, because everybody is like, why my electric bill is so high? Why I always got blackout? Why it's taking forever for me to just get
somehow that's still your fault, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing most of the islands have been mapped and surveyed. What's the future? What do you guys are doing? What are the next projects? Are you continuing to build more infrastructure, or are you regenerating the existing?
Oh, that's a very great question. So for our company right now, the main focus is basically improving the resiliency of our grid.
Okay.
So we're doing a lot of projects to replace old poles or strengthening the transmission line to make it less prone to wildfire. And of course, this kind of the spark started from the Lahaina wildfire back in 2023.
No bad pun intended.
Yeah, but even before that, the company has been doing that kind of work to strengthen and also upgrade the line to prevent, major blackout to multiple communities on this island.
Okay.
So, Cliff, how did you get into land surveying?
So I actually get into the industry right after I graduated from college. I studied at the University of Hawaii Manoa here.
Terrible place to go to school. I can imagine it's 70 all the time.
What did you study?
I was getting into that. So I major in geography.
Okay.
And specifically cartography. So I learned how to do maps and basically cool, exhibits.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I got to ask another question.
Go for it.
What's your favorite map? Do you have a favorite map? Maybe one you've seen, a really cool map from history?
For me, it's all the old maps of Hawaii. They are like art pieces that if you do get the original one, you really want to frame it in a good frame that you hang it on the wall and look at it every day.
Love that. So at some point you decided, I love maps, but I also might need to be a surveyor. Like, how did you transition? And you do have to realize you're one of those people that this conference kind of embodies of, I was doing this and now I'm doing this and now I'm both.
Yes. So actually, wow, it's like you reading my mind. Actually, originally I was thinking about going into civil engineering. So it's nothing to do with being a surveyor. But it was in school, the first couple of years, you're doing all the Common Core, and then you got a couple of electives to think about what you're going to really study. So I remember one of those classes was a introductory to photogrammetry. So it's a interpretation of photogrammetry and stuff like that. So it really grabs my interest in that. And then I realized, maybe I don't have to study all these crazy math to be a civil engineer. I can be a surveyor. So that's how it sparks the interest. And then, like people has always said, you get the bite and you're in.
Well said. I like that.
So land surveyors are like werewolves. You get bitten, the full moon comes up and you're surveying.
I mean, I'm thinking of the visuals I'm thinking of. So talk about this conference a little bit. Is this your, I know you're involved in, are you on the committee and you help pull it off, or what's your involvement with this show?
So we have had joint conference between the Surveyor Association as well as the GIS Professional Associations before. But I guess this is the second Pacific Rim Geospatial Conference that we came up with that name. We do have joint conference before, but we don't really have a special name for that. And the last time we did it, it was, I believe, was 2023, and it was kind of just after the COVID years, right? And we realized, maybe we should do something together, and that's how it kind of started. And during that time, I was the president for, actually, I was the vice president of the HI+IL, which is the Hawaii Land Surveyor Association. Usually the vice president is the one that kind of drives the annual conference that we have. Yeah. So that was my involvement from the beginning.
Very cool. I'm not going to lie. So when I first started Google searching the conference, when you type in Pacific Rim, it comes up with the giant robot movie. Kaiju and everything. I actually really enjoyed the movie. And, but no, it's been an absolutely fantastic conference. I just have to give you guys kudos. Obviously, the community is strong here. We get to do this a lot, but it's not all conferences are created equally, and you guys have something special.
Yeah, and I might not have the stats, but I think this is one of the greatest turnout of recent years.
It's because Sean's here. I know.
I am going to take all the credit. The people just follow us. It's mostly the podcast. That's what it is.
Some money out of it.
Yeah. So what else? What advice would you give someone that's thinking about getting into this industry?
Well, I never regret being a surveyor because I hate sitting at a desk Monday to Friday, 7 to 4 here. Should we start early here? So being a surveyor give me give you the chance to explore places that people have never been to before or will probably never get to, and do things that is cool. We use all the fancy equipment, the latest technology that we have, and sometimes we even drive the industry. We GPS was, of course, GPS was initially for military use, but then the surveying community realized, well, we can use this too, and it's totally changed the whole industry how we approach things.
And it's interesting because I've never really heard anybody say it like that, where the using the technology to drive the industry, and that's a pretty interesting perspective. What else? Is there a need, or is there still a shortage of surveyors?
Yeah,
here
definitely.
Like everywhere else.
Yeah, I do feel we have a generation gap. A lot of the older generation, they get to the age that they passed on, and it is for us to kind of pick up the torch and keep. Well, I said not the torch. It's time to pick up the rod and keep going.
Let's not cause fire.
Yeah.
The light stick.
Yeah. So what do you see going forward for this conference?
Definitely make it a reoccurring events, maybe every couple of years that we get together, and then we link up the two professions and see how's the future is for us and how we're gonna impact or make a difference in the future, basically.
It's great. Thanks for coming by. I have one
Thank you
last
for having
question. We've been asking everybody. Do you have a mantra that you live by? There's no wrong answer here, by the way.
Just keep moving.
Just keep moving.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cliff, thanks again, and then enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you so much.
Mahalo. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Back again. It's going to be a busy, fast-hitting day. I'm very excited, and the energy is already crazy here. Everyone's been great. So let's kick this off. Joey, if you can, give us your name, who you're with, and what you do.
Hey there. Okay, my name is Joey Furlett. I'm Chief Legal Officer of Cedar. We are a home affordability company that's nationwide and also in Canada as well, so U.S. and Canada based.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize who we were about to interview. I'm going to get the different questions.
We had 10, so far 10 and 12 interviews, all with surveyors, and now we have somebody that's not a surveyor, but
So I'm not a surveyor, but I'm deeply in the geospatial world. Back before I made the questionable decision, to go to law school, used to do research into sort of the beginning stages of AI with GIS. 15 years ago doing that. So.
All right, so I have 17 questions. First off, give us a little more background of how you are involved in the geospatial community given your current position.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, first of all, I'm on the board of directors of the Hawaii Geographic Information Coordinating Council. Second of all, legal work with real estate is a nuanced thing, but there's a lot of survey review. And so in my background, I've closed a little over 1,700 transactions, so 1,700 transactions. And that means reviewing the surveys for every single one of those, making sure you're looking at the lines on each of those, looking at the title reports, doing the full title search on every gosh darn one of those. And that's my background that got me to where I'm at now. And prior to starting my company out in the Cedar, that's how I got where I'm at.
So in the survey world, you're kind of like a unicorn where you're like, you aren't a surveyor, but you get it.
Yeah.
You get the importance of all the things that the profession does and why they do what they do. What are some of the challenges that you see here in Hawaii and as far as surveying and property and boundaries that you see?
Goodness, there's a lot of things that can happen in Hawaii with title things that can be beyond just the surveying. One of the complexities we have is like CPRs, for example, the condominium property regimes, effectively a land condominium where instead of going upward with the condo, you go outward. So it's a horizontal versus a vertical spatial component to the land. So you see that pretty often.
Okay.
But honestly, I'd say that some of the more complex situations I've seen have actually, funny enough, been on the mainland. There are some complex things here, but there's plenty of complex things on the mainland too, especially when you get to unincorporated areas.
We heard a story yesterday about a building or a house that got built on the wrong lot. Do you know anything about that?
Yep, that did happen out here in Hawaii. Now, I wasn't personally involved in that, but my understanding is that someone they didn't they started building on the wrong spot. It can happen when you don't use a survey. And frankly, if speaking on a transactional level, it can happen to someone who's buying a place too. They can easily buy a place that is not where they think they're buying if they don't have something called a location endorsement under an Alta title insurance policy. So Alta compliant, or CLTA if you're in Canada, TLTA if you're in Texas. But you want to make sure you have that location endorsement to make sure, am I buying where I think I'm buying?
Oh, man.
Love that. Oh, man, still so many questions.
Shoot away.
Talk about the conference a little bit. You probably more on the GIS side, but what we like to talk about is there's no real sides here.
No, they're really, it's two sides of the same coin. The GIS and the surveying, they're two sides of the same coin. nary shall the two.
What's a coin? I use credit cards.
Yeah, right.
Paper currency. Now.
What? Two sides of the same credit card. One has the signature. One has the number.
There you
See?
Picking up what you're putting down.
Love that.
Sorry,
because the surveyors they have to sign the thing. The GIS folks they just get the numbers. So see, yeah, I like the terminology there. That was good. Yeah, but the two sides of the coin don't always meet, but they make one consolidated whole. They have different aspects and different importances. And frankly, when you're doing due diligence on land, whether it's a commercial acquisition or I do a lot of residential acquisitions with things. You have to use a combination of everything. You got to look, in some ways, the GIS can be your ground truthing from afar versus the survey, which provides you the technical details of just what is there that is there.
Yeah, absolutely. The boots on the ground component of land surveying is, I think, one of the most critical pieces of it. And some of us GISers, we like to do like desktop surveying, but nothing beats actually walking out there.
No. If you do a desktop survey, frankly, that's if it's not good enough for title insurance, it's probably not good enough for much.
I think you just made 1,000 new friends by that comment from our audience.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to go ahead and give out your company information? Maybe getting some calls from our listeners.
So how did you get into this business? And tell us a little bit about, what got you here.
So I want to clarify the question. Which business? We're talking geospatial. We're talking personal business. What are we talking about?
Your personal business. Yeah. I'm sure you didn't wake up and say, you know what? I think I want to be an attorney that also does geospatial stuff.
But come on, I just woke up out of the bed this morning. That seemed like stuff,
right? I met with my guidance counselor, and they said, "You know what? You're the perfect fit for her."
Doesn't every guidance counselor come and you say, I'm a nerdy person. I'm looking for all these things. Don't they just all come up to you and say, I think geospatial is the place you want? Honestly, honest to goodness, I can tell you how I found geography, how I came to be a geography major, even at school. I was going in intending to be a math guy. Okay. I like math. I love math. I was doing oral competitions, of where you have to learn the thing and then teach folks the math, competitions. I get to college and it was a different vibe of it, and it was fine. But I decided that wasn't the path, and I tried a few different things. I went, you know what? I'm just going to let fate take the wheel. Back in the day when we had the paper course guides, right? Mm-hmm. I just decided I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to just buzz this thing, put my finger down. First class it was. Funny enough, was Intro to GIS.
That's awesome.
Literally, you literally threw a dart.
I literally threw a dart at the wall.
And hit GIS.
I threw a dart at the wall, and I looked at it, I'm like, son of a gun. Well, I've programmed.
Check a lot of boxes.
I know enough about land stuff. Sure, what the heck? Let's go for it. And funny enough, that became a big focus of my career. Truly throw a dart at the wall kind of style.
I got to ask, you mind me saying, where did you go to school?
Oh, a little school out in New Hampshire, Dartmouth College out there. So, yeah.
A little school called Dartmouth.
Yeah, don't know if you've heard of it.
I don't know if you've heard of it, but
special darts at Dartmouth.
We try to keep a little bit of a low profile, but I went out to Dartmouth College out there, and it's a good place. You're out with the hogs and the frogs out there and the trees and all that jazz. If you like maple syrup, it's a good place to go. And
so, what do you live here in Hawaii now?
Yeah. I've been out in Hawaii for close to a decade now.
What brought you out here?
Strange decisions in life, as always.
A dart. Yeah. Like on a map, and you're like
practically. You threw the dart. You hit the middle of the ocean, and then you went to the nearest land.
As I say, like every normal attorney, I started my law practice. I'm out there, and I see that I went directly from college to law school. A lot of folks take a gap here. I went directly there, and I see a lot of folks saying, "Hey, I did teach for America, teach for Japan, teach for China." Whatever. I'm like, did I miss a memo by not teaching? I wonder if I can do some teaching while I'm doing law. Long story short, I ended up, as I say, the boring version of Batman. I became a teacher by day and a lawyer by night. I was doing, English, teaching 11th grade English over at Maui High School. Go Sabres! And was doing real estate law by night, doing all the survey reviews, etc. So that's kind of how I got out here.
He's literally Daredevil. He's Matt Murdock, right?
No.
Joey, that is the most boring Batman that
the most boring Batman that's ever existed. Teacher by day, lawyer by night.
That's amazing. I'm curious your answer to this question.
Yeah.
What advice would you give somebody that's looking for something and maybe interested in the geospatial profession?
Well, what I'd say is you should just get your hands into it. You should check things out. There's a lot of different ways to go with it. You can look at whether you're just going to be zooming around on Google Maps, whether you're going to be going around and playing around in GIS, or whether you're just going to be, using tools that are already out there or reading a survey. There's a lot of things you can do with maps. And effectively, if you're touching a map, you're probably touching the geospatial world. And you may not touch it in the way you expect. I mean, heck, these days I do due diligence on purchases of land. That's a lot of what I do. My company, what we do is we are acting as like a point of sale home affordability product for folks where effectively folks are getting homes. They can get it for like between like 70% of the price and half the price of their regular purchase by basically converting to a 99-year leasehold at the purchase, which, convertible anytime back to a fee simple property. Title terms, basically you get 99-year right to use the land. You can convert it back to the fee simple at any time. So, you either buy us out or you can, do it at the next sale. But, when we're doing that sort of stuff, I have to review the surveys. I have to do a lot of the background on that. But, you wouldn't think it'd be geospatial, but there's a lot of geospatial to it.
And I'm guessing home affordability is a big
it's
issue
huge
here, and I'm sure everywhere. But
and I mean, let's just, even talking to the general audience here, I mean, like, hey everyone, surveyors. But the fact is that the surveyors and everyone, it's not like this is the most highly paid profession in the world. Let's be serious. I mean, we aren't exactly picking up our 7-digit paychecks to go survey. So there's a lot of need for affordable homes.
I don't remember the term. I apologize.
No.
But like in New York, where they have pricing for affordable pricing, do you guys have anything like that here?
So that are you talking about the rent caps and things like that? Yeah, honestly, those are kind of a mixed bag because it usually disincentivizes folks to maintain the places. So and then people are they're incentivized to squat on them for longer periods of time. It as a policy matter, it's a hard thing to do. It also takes government money to do so. If you don't have private industry stepping in and putting some dollars into it, my company kind of acts like the rich uncle that comes in, provides a little bit of money. Hey, pay us a little bit of rent while you're there, just to make it worth our time. But at the end of the day,
but your company is still about ownership.
Yeah, it's about making sure that folks have the next step of home ownership, because people have renting. You can rent. People have buying, but there's really not been this intermediate.
Is it like a hybrid model of?
In some ways, yeah,
Like a
but
lease model.
it's a lease model. So it's actually popular in a lot of You look at out in Europe, there's plenty of folks that have leaseholds that they purchase out there. They just top them up before they sell them. Hey, I'll add another 10 years to the top, and then I'll sell it to the next guy.
Interesting.
You have out in Singapore, there's plenty of that. You have all the land out in China is held in leasehold.
I think Mexico's the same way too.
Mexico, there's a lot of leaseholds. Yep. And then actually, it's actually pretty common in a lot of spots in the U.S. too. You go down to Jekyll Island, Georgia. Effectively, that's all held in leasehold down there because it's a state natural land holdings. You have any of the areas that are under the tribal lands, the Tribal Land Act. Those are. I'm probably misspeaking on the act, but it's the tribal lands, the Native American lands in general. When folks are buying on them, who are they get a leasehold. If someone gets a DLNR piece of land, or they get a BLM land, they're getting it on a leasehold.
Interesting.
And some developers down in even Florida, they've had those. A lot of fraternity houses, they're held in leaseholds. Every McDonald's is a leasehold. Practically everyone. They own the land and then they lease off the land.
It's that rich Uncle McDonald that is sponsoring all those.
Hey, we love you, McDonald's. You're good folks. It's all good.
I saw that movie. I know the documentary.
Right. Joey, all good stuff. Anything else you want to get out there before we let you go?
Oh goodness, just want to say thank you to you guys for letting me be on board here. If anyone wants to know more about the company that I'm part of,
sure. How do they find out more?
We have www.getcedar.com for the US and www.getcedar .ca for the Canadian. We're based out of Ontario for that one, and good stuff. Everyone who likes geospatial stuff, I hope that they, hope they're enjoying all the content here.
Yeah, that sounds great. One last question. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
Lordy, that's a good question, and I'm sure there's a good answer to it. But generally, what I look at is you want to ride the wave in life. You ride.
That is an amazing Hawaii.
That is on point.
You ride the wave. You don't look back. You look forward, and you use your experience to guide you. And that's the same thing with everything in geospatial, really. I mean, think about it. Every survey you've done, every survey you've analyzed, you're looking at all of the things, all the edge cases, all the good, all the bad, and that's what comes to the understanding at the end. So,
well, I like riding that wave.
Yeah, that's amazing. Great stuff, Joey. Appreciate you. Appreciate your time. Thanks for coming by, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Okay, we're back. Nice quick little break. I think we have a break between sessions, so all the happy people are in the room, and we have Sarah with us. Sarah, looking forward to this conversation. If you can, give us your name, who you're with, and what you do.
Sure. My name's Sarah Falzarano. I'm with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers here in Honolulu, and I do all things geospatial, so CAD, GIS, UAS, GNSS.
We love people that do all things geospatial. Okay, well, you're going to have to expand a little bit. What are some of the all things geospatial that you do for the Army Corps?
So the Corps of Engineers is an engineering firm,
Sure,
public agency, and we have a variety of missions to support the nation. So some of them are civil works, and here in the Pacific, we dredge the small boat harbors and the large deep draft harbors so that our commercial goods can come in and bring everything that we need to live here.
Is that like a continual maintenance kind of project?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we call those our civil works projects.
Okay.
On the mainland, you might be familiar with dams and levees and flood risk mitigation, which is what that's called over there. We don't have too many of those here. We have a few, but really it's the harbors that we support. So the dredging, I mean, as you can imagine, it requires a lot of geospatial support to figure out the boundaries and the depths to which we are needing to dredge those harbors.
How do you get the depths? Is that something
underwater?
Yeah.
Sonar.
Okay.
Can you use any like bathymetric LiDAR?
Yeah.
Nice. So do you guys do that consistently? Or like what kind of frequency are you mapping those sands and threads? I'm assuming it's shifting all the time.
It is, and they are on a schedule. Yeah. And that's not my kuleana, as we say out here. I'm peripherally involved, so I can speak to it in a general sense, but I don't know what the schedule is for the eaches.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, so how did you find your way over to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers? You woke up, you were 12 years old, and you were just like, I am going to go be an engineer for the government.
The example you gave, you met with your guidance counselor, and they said, you know what, you should do all things geospatial for the Army Corps.
Not exactly. Actually, my passion was more in conservation and biology. I got my degree in biology, my original college degree. And got out of school and wasn't really able to find a job back in the economy. It was kind of slow.
Okay.
So what do you do when you can't get a job?
Look around for something else to do?
Become a land surveyor?
Become a land surveyor.
I was looking for you go back to school.
Okay, sure. Okay, got it.
Back to school.
I did. And that's where I was exposed to GIS. This is back in the 90s, so I'm dating myself a little bit here, but GIS was being used in the biology field in conservation, mapping out land.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Conservation, and I leveraged that into a job with the USGS at the time, and then transitioned over to the National Park Service. I was living in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Oh, that's close to we're Phoenix based.
Yeah. So,
I have some amazing experiences in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Nice.
It's a gorgeous place.
It is. I agree. 100%. So I worked for Grand Canyon National Park for a while.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Then I had kids and decided to move closer to home, which is here.
Oh, okay, great.
And the big federal employer out here is the Department of Defense. So that transition was to come work for the Corps of Engineers back in 2009. And I've been with them ever since. And it's a little step away from conservation in biology, but it's still really good work. And I'm passionate about what I do. I've been giving a presentation about the emergency response to Lahaina.
Yeah.
Focused on that.
Talk a little bit about that. I caught some of the presentation yesterday. You did a phenomenal job, and it was very interesting. So, kind of at the high level, can you give our audience kind of an update on that emergency response?
Sure. So, another mission of the Corps of Engineers is emergency response. And
Sure.
we are tasked by FEMA to do the engineering portion of that response.
Okay.
And that can be for Lahaina, it included a lot. Yeah. We were out there days after it happened to provide emergency power to critical facilities. So we had to map that out. Where are these generators needed? Where are the taskings coming from, and where can we put them, and how are they going? So we have a whole dashboard built for that. That was out there. They were out there for 50 days, and then we retracted them because the county was able to provide that power again. And then the debris. That was our biggest issue. Yeah.
That's one of those things that everyone thinks about the recovery, but it's like a detailed part of it. Like, what do you do with all the stuff? You have all these remnants.
Yeah.
Where does that go? And especially on an island, a small island, I'm sure it presented specific challenges.
It's so interesting to me because obviously being a mainlander, we hear about Hawaii, but that fire, it swept the nation. Like everybody was watching it on every news channel. I remember people crying, talking about the devastation. What would you say, what was the biggest thing you learned from all of this? Like, what would you maybe tell somebody out there in the world that does something like you, to make life a little bit better? You have to have learned something.
I've learned
something super negative into something super positive. What'd you learn?
Well, I'm gonna circle back to the conference theme, which is La Lima, which is working together. And so our community here just pulled together. It was heartening. It was devastating what happened out there, but everybody wanted to see what they could do to help the recovery, to help with the response. So the initial response was to do the recovery, and then now the electrical mission, to provide the power to folks so that they could communicate with their loved ones. And then we came in and this debris response, taking out all of the toxic materials, the recyclable materials, and then the rest, and finding a place for people to start rebuilding. And then temporary housing is another engineering feat that we've been doing. So providing the housing to those that have lost it in a temporary manner so that they can rebuild and come back more permanently later.
Got it. Okay.
And then there was the elementary school.
Yeah.
That's a critical public facility that we were able to provide a temporary replacement within 90 days of being tasked to do so. So all of this requires a lot of collaboration. We got the state to streamline our permits so we can build that elementary school quickly. There's just so many collaborators in all of this. And this is a great community here in Hawaii, geospatially and beyond. So
interesting. Couple questions. One, I'm just curious. You said that one of the first things did come in and provide generators, but before that, it created a dashboard so you could understand where they needed to go. Right? How quick did you make a dashboard in an emergency response? Not a lot of people think that's a critical item.
So because emergency management is a mission of the Corps of Engineers, we have at the enterprise level, at the headquarters level, folks who focus on this for their jobs. So they helped us out.
Wow.
And said, this is one of the Corps of Engineers missions that FEMA is going to task us with. So we're going to send people out right away. And here's a template for a dashboard.
Wow. That's amazing. And then you mentioned like the collaboration, and I think you mentioned it some in your presentation about, I just want to, can you give us an explanation on how the Corps works with the DOD and FEMA, and how, it's like a support arm of other, and you have your space and then they come in, like how does all that work together?
Sure. We are tasked by FEMA. So first, the governor of the state has to declare an emergency and ask for that federal assistance. And then when FEMA is tasked to give that federal assistance, they start reaching out to their partners. There's emergency support functions, and there's a whole plan that FEMA has. They task the Corps of Engineers for a certain engineering and public facilities support function.
Okay.
And so we can anticipate this, and we have planning and response teams that are already spun up and on call for any emergency that happens.
Interesting.
And it could be a local response team. It could be from the mainland. Happen to be that for this one, our local power response team was on call. So they were all local. They just flew over to Maui 2 days, 3 days after the event and could start. They were familiar with the area. It was just, it worked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about the outreach? Because I don't think a lot of people at this point know what's going on or what happened and what it was, like Nick said, everyone was talking about it for a while, and then it's like, okay, what's the next headline? So how do you get that message out? It's like, by the way, all this stuff was still happening, and these are the great things that we're doing for the community.
Sure.
Is that a challenge that you guys have, or how do you get the word out?
Yeah, that's a great point.
She talks to the geoholics.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course. That's right.
No joke. I mean, every which way that we can get the message out. So whether it is through podcast, through a website, through the news media, through print, through word of mouth, it's every which way.
Okay.
So there's a great website called MauiRecovers.org.
MauiRecovers.org. Okay.
And it is bringing together the great work that the Corps of Engineers has done, that the county is doing, the state, private, nonprofit agencies. So, after the Corps is done cleaning the debris off someone's property, they still have to rebuild. And that's a very complicated process. And so some private and nonprofit groups have stepped up and filled a gap for those folks that need the help in presenting a design to receive a permit to rebuild.
Okay.
And helping people through the process of rebuilding.
But you said the governor is fast tracking that stuff, or not so much, just for the school, or are they fast tracking the home builds too, or?
They're doing what they can. We're all working together. So that's a county issue to issue permits. And I was just listening into another presentation where he was talking about how they're putting more staff on permits for this area because it's just, it's overwhelming for the local staff. So, there's stuff that the state can do, stuff that the county can do, nonprofits and whatnot. Yeah.
So what's next? What's the and the mission's not done, right? Or is it? And where does what's your you go back to just waiting for something else to happen, or what's next for you in the Corps here in Hawaii?
Sure. So there's regular work
for sure.
But as for Maui,
dredging. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have so many missions. There's plenty of work to do. For Maui, though, our FEMA missions are winding down.
Okay.
So we've completed the debris. We're almost done with temporary housing. So that funding from FEMA will come to a stop for the Corps of Engineers, not done for the local community.
Got it.
There's plenty that they will have to do. But for the Corps of Engineers, it's ramping down on Maui.
Okay.
And then for me personally, I'm going to stay busy with these other missions that we have. Actually, right before Lahaina fires happened was another emergency event in Guam. We had a hurricane that hit Guam. It was ahead of the hurricane season. It hit the very end of May.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So we got the prize for the first hurricane of the season.
Oh, I don't know if I want that prize.
Yeah, right.
So our area of responsibility covers the whole Pacific.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right? So we're not just focused on the state of Hawaii, but we gotta be ready.
So that would be like America Samoa as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
You have a cool story. Now, do you get to travel to these places or kind of stick here in Hawaii?
I do get to travel. Yeah. But you work yourself up in your career, you do more meetings and less of the field work. So.
Sure.
I know that all too well.
Yeah, sure.
I got to ask. So you have an awesome career. You've been doing a lot of great things. Do you have any words of advice for somebody coming up in the geospatial world, maybe in college or thinking about it, or some tips or tricks to make life easier?
It's all about relationships. I'm going to go back to that. It's who you know. So thank you. I think I have an awesome career too. And it was all about who I was talking to, opening doors, just talking to people, literally opening doors. That's how I got into GIS. I was volunteering at the county of San Diego and walked by a computer where they had ArcView 3, whatever. And I was like, that looks super cool. I opened a door and introduced myself, and then here I am now. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really go after what you're interested in and talk to people and build those relationships.
We typically ask people if they have a mantra that they live by, and my guess is yours is that.
I am taking some, self-evaluation tests, Myers-Briggs and all this stuff.
Sure.
There's one test that talks about, are you a people person or I'm like solidly pegged on people. So yes, I do think that it's all about the people and the relationships that you make.
That's amazing. Sarah, thanks for your time. Thanks for everything that you do. And I don't think it gets enough credit. I think it's a little bit of not recognized heroes, I guess you could say. So thanks for everything. Thanks for your time here, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Hello. Thank you.
All right, we're back. We have Eric joining us. We are moving right along today. I mean, it is busy and exciting, and let's get right into it. Eric, if you can, give us your name, who you're with, and what you do.
My name's Loren Eric Slentz. I go by Eric. I'm with Maui Land Surveyors, the owner operator of Maui Land Surveyors, and just been doing surveying on island, specifically Hawaii. My entire career. I haven't surveyed on the mainland at all, so it's all Hawaii specific. Born and raised in Maui, and my brother James and I operate Maui Land Surveyors together.
When do you guys start? How long? Have you been around?
2019. So it's been about 5 years.
Okay. Give us a little snapshot. What's it like starting a business in 2019, and talk about that journey a little bit.
Yeah, definitely had some challenges starting business in 2019, but there's not a shortage of work on Maui. And so we've been fortunate enough to have this constant workflow the entire time. We weren't really slowed down by COVID. And we've just been steadily growing our business without really any large hurdles. I mean, obviously COVID was challenging in a lot of different ways, but didn't really affect our business model at all.
And what business model is that? What's your core market, or what main services you guys provide?
We primarily focus on boundary and topographical surveys for residential. And obviously the commercial real estate has been pretty hot.
Sure.
And so that's what's kind of pulled us through COVID slowdowns in other markets. And even construction has been pretty steady on Maui. I mean, we don't have huge projects like some of the other areas, but yeah, real estate and construction hasn't really slowed down a whole lot on Maui.
And you said primarily on the Maui Island?
Yeah, so, and county of Maui.
County of Maui, that's right, okay.
Maui, county of Maui has both Maui Island, Island of Molokai, and Island of Lanai.
Oh, okay, got it. All right. And then how much is, just curious, how much is developed and to be developed? And, is it starting to get filled out, so to speak, or is there a lot of room to grow?
I would guess, are there building moratoriums? Are there only a certain amount of growth?
One question at a time, Nick.
I'm sorry, you get me all excited.
I mean, obviously, there's the rebuild of Lahaina, which has added a lot more building focus. But I think the thing that restricts building mostly is the water shortage in Maui.
Okay.
Especially upcountry and stuff. But it's not a huge. It's mainly residential and condominiums and hotels that are being built. There's no lot of vertical build, so it's a lot of land being developed, subdivisions going in. It's not huge developments, but pretty steady for our population.
Sure. How'd you get into this business?
My background is civil engineering. I got a degree from San Diego State in civil engineering.
Okay.
And worked in the industry for 10 years doing design, drafting, construction, mainly in Southern California. And where my wife and I chose to come back to Maui for family reasons. And we've kind of just continued to be in the industry. My wife is a civil engineer.
Oh, cool.
And
So you guys argue a lot about who's better, the land surveyor or the registered engineer?
She doesn't like to have work conversations. She likes to leave that at work.
That's probably why you have a good, happy marriage.
That's right.
So talk about this conference a little bit. What have you gotten out of it so far?
The conference has been great. I've really enjoyed a lot of the conversations and the talking points that a lot of people had in the breakout sessions. There's been the focus point has been Laulima, the working together. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people have been talking about Lahaina, which we're based out of Maui. So, it's home with us. And there's not a lot of surveying professionals from Maui attending right now. So, I feel like there's a lot of attention on us in particular to answer a lot of the questions and status updates. But, it's just, it's been good having people, coming together to try and help answer and come up with solutions for our industry and recovery efforts of Lahaina.
That's well said. What did you always want to be a civil engineer? Or how did you make that transition and between going into land surveying?
I kind of felt
the clouds opened and you got a sign from above that said, "This is what you should do with your career."
Pretty much, it kind of fell into my lap. I had just taken a new position I had applied for an engineering position with a small firm based out of Maui, and they had needed some surveying assistance. And they're like, "Do you mind stepping in for like 6 months while we fill it?"
Oh yeah, I've said that before, knowing damn well that was not a temporary ask.
And I was like, "Yeah, it sounds interesting to me," and it was a perfect fit for me. And I like it gets me outside more often.
Sure.
And that side just kind of fell into surveying, and it fit my lifestyle and my problem solving appetite, and it just just kind of kept pursuing with it. And
so how did you then decide to start your own business?
I was working. One of my coworkers had previously owned his own land surveying business, and we had worked together for a number of years under this other company. And at one point, we just kind of decided to break off on our own and do our own thing. And So we started our own company together. He had 25, 30 years of experience in the industry. And so it was an easy transition, being that he's already gone through a lot of the pitfalls of starting his own surveying business. And so it just kind of is easy transition, and things just opened up for us.
That's amazing. What you got, Nick?
So how many survey firms are on Maui? I'm just like, is there a lot of competition? Do you guys work together?
Well, I mean, the name was available 5 years ago, so it can't be that many.
There's probably about a dozen.
Okay.
In general, I'd say half of those are with engineering companies. A lot of dual licenses, there's probably a half dozen dual license within the engineering community. And then there's probably 6 to 10 outfits that are survey specific.
Okay.
All right, I've got one weird question.
Go for it. All right.
So are you a total station guy? Do you like to use the gun, or are you a GPS guy? Do you fly drones? How are you do your mapping?
Yeah.
We primarily focus on total station and GPS. Hand in hand, almost every job uses both. The GPS comes in handy to get, high-end things in a further reach. And then we have a lot of canopies, so GPS we can't rely a lot on for some of the more detailed items. And so we bust out the total station and just jump back and forth as needed. Drones, we are dabbling in and are getting our feet wet and hope to expand our services.
And I'm guessing some of the same canopy challenges are going to be there with drones too, right?
Yeah. So right now we're we outsource some of our LiDAR. When we dabble in LiDAR, we're acquiring some aerial photogrammetry drones just to again get more familiar and get our experience, and then we'll eventually hope to bring on LiDAR and more aerial drones and maybe SLAM and all the different technologies coming out as they develop.
Nice. Anything else you want to get out there for a geospatial crowd?
Or a mantra you live by, or a motto?
Yeah, we ask everybody, do you have a mantra that you live by?
A mantra that I live by. They may sound a little corny, but it's a family, kind of a family thing. We all have tattoos that say "Live Aloha" on our legs. Between my siblings, I'm the youngest of 6.
What's that mean to you?
To me, it means living respectfully, with integrity, and doing as much as you can for your community, and paying it forward.
Wow. It's not corny. It's cool. We love it.
Yeah, I hate to tell you what I have tattooed on.
Right. So anyway, Eric, appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for spending some time with us, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Absolutely. Thanks to you guys for making it out here.
Yep.
Mahalo. Thank you.
Aloha.
All right, we're still cooking along here. Man, it's really fun. I'm having a blast. So the day's going to be done. This whole thing's going to be over, but
it's already half over.
I know.
What happened in the morning?
I know. It's when you talk to a lot of amazing people, it kind of flies by. And we have another one coming up here. Ed, if you can, Edward, give us your name, who you're with, and what you do.
I'm Edward Carlson. I'm the Pacific Region Geodetic Advisor for National Geodetic Survey, which is under the Department of Commerce. I have the region of Hawaii, American Samoa, Northern Marianas, and Guam. I'm one of 14 regional advisors that we have in NGS.
Okay.
And I'm the only advisor that works in the Southern Hemisphere.
Oh, that's quite interesting.
A lot of people don't realize that we have territory, or we work in the Southern Hemisphere. Most people think that NGS only works in the Northern Hemisphere.
I'm sure that poses some specific challenges that are unique to your position.
Yes, it does. Travel to the islands or to American Samoa is not every day. During the summer, you have 3 flights a week, and during the winter, you have 2 flights a week.
Okay.
And everything in American Samoa is still just like here. They use a dollar. But a lot of their products that they have are all out of Australia.
Yeah, because it's closer.
Right.
Australia's closer than anything else, right?
Like the McDonald's is like a
McDundee.
Yeah, right. McDundee, right.
So, Edward, I have to ask, how did you get your way to the NGS?
I'm originally born and raised in Hawaii. I left in 1967 when I went off to college. Then I got asked by Richard Nixon to go to Vietnam. I spent 2 years in Vietnam. When I came back, I went back to college. I met a girl.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
And her mother worked in the East Coast, and we went back to the East Coast, and she worked for NOAA, and I got the job with NGS in 1974.
So wait, you slipped your way into this career?
No, they were hiring at that time because they were doing, at that time, NGS was getting ready to do the readjustment in 1983.
Oh,
so we were going from the 27 datum to the 83 datum. So I worked for 9 years on that project. And then we came out with an NED 83.
Okay.
And then I moved over to vertical, and I worked on the vertical datum of NGVD 88 for a couple of years. And then I got into GPS, and I started learning GPS and processing with GPS. And then I became a part-time advisor in Delaware. And then we wanted NGS and NOAA, or NOS, wanted to start an office in Hawaii or have an advisor in Hawaii or the Pacific. At that time, we had the state advisor program. So I came out to Hawaii and got the Hawaii advisor program going in 2002.
Okay. And been doing it ever since?
And been doing it ever since.
What are some of the projects that you've worked on?
Some of the big,
the
first big project I worked on before I came out here was we worked on what we call the Northwest Hawaiian Islands. All the islands going from here to Midway were all on an astro datum, and we sent a cruise up with GPS people. I sent people up to go on all these islands and do GPS and on marks that were already done by another agency earlier.
Okay.
And so we could register the charts into the 1983 or the 83 datum, so everything would be perfect, because everybody at that time was still using GPS to navigate, but the charts didn't match because they were in 27 datum and they were in 83 or WGS 84, so they would have problems. And we had that one case, one of the ships transiting through the Northwest Hawaiian Islands ran aground, but they were using a chart
because they were using they were navigating with GPS and looking at the old chart.
Yes. So that was our first main mission. And then after that, I became the state advisor. And then NGS, about 10 years ago, decided we were going to go from state advisors to regional advisors. And that's how I became the regional advisor. But I had been working in American Samoa, Guam, and Northern Marianas. We did all this leveling and georeferencing for all those islands before 2001 in American Samoa, 2002 in CMI, 2003 in Guam.
I'm going to get super nerdy.
Please.
Oh, sorry.
That's why you're here.
Okay. So I find that the average GIS person and even land surveyor maybe doesn't know very much about geomatics and geodesy and projections and datums and transformations, how we do all of these things. And I guess I want to ask you, could you maybe tell our crowd and our listeners, like, why is it important to understand how your map is created, why a datum is important, like you want your ship to not run aground.
I think that's the best example.
And why we shouldn't just click through the buttons and say, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Or just always go default settings.
Right. Well, one thing since I've been here, I've been working closely with HI+IL or the GIS group before that, with Royce Jones and Esri. And I used to give them talks on datums and how to georeference their maps and get everything to be correct. And I used to always make a joke, and I said GIS. Everybody says, well, what's GIS? And I said, that means get it surveyed.
Never heard that.
Right, I know you probably never heard that, but I used to say that to them, and if it's taken effect, and they understand it now, and they understand the datums, and they know how to georeference things and make sure that they fit together. I've been working with, one example is I've been working with a city and county. They're doing their parcel maps and they're putting them onto a GIS, but the parcel maps, since they're different datums and trying to get them rectified together, when you look at them putting it onto a georeference background, which is on NAD 83 or WGS 84, and they're in the old Hawaiian datum, when they want to transform them over, you'll find out that some of the parcels are sitting in people's property lines are in the middle of a road.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But that's still okay because their property hasn't moved, because when they do the survey, they're doing a boundary survey, and people, all they care about is how much square feet you have in your property.
They're caring about the area,
but they don't care exactly where it's located and things like that.
So does that mean it's just going to stay in the old?
No, we're working on a matter of fact. There's a talk this afternoon about it. Rod Lowe is going to be giving a talk about it. We're going to talk about how they're going to try to rectify this problem and get to it.
How big of a project is that? I mean, what kind of scale are we talking about? Is it every so often something's in the old one, or is it all?
I think once they get it into the right datum and everything squared away, then everything will be all right from there. But I think he said it was don't quote me. I think he said it was a 2-year project.
Okay. All right. Well, that's not unreasonable, but it's not small, right?
Right. It's not a small project.
Is that what you see as far as like the biggest issue is old datums to new ones? Is that what you kind of fight the most battles these days?
Most of my work falls into 3 things. It's people doing GPS projects, and they want to know how to get them adjusted and get them into the right coordinate system. 2 is leveling. They want to have good elevations, and right now I'm working with the state DOT, and we're doing re-leveling all the islands. We've done Oahu, they've done Maui County, and they're just finished Kauai, and they're working on the Big Island.
Okay.
So we'll have good elevations, and they need that for, of course, mapping for determining where the inundation zone is for a tsunami, so people will know where to go, how high they go to get away, so you're not going to get swept away, because they have legislation on where the zone is or how high an elevation it has to be.
And it would help to know what the actual elevation is if you're going to start. That's an expensive line, right?
Right. So they also, and then the last one is datums, converting from datums, and I get converting from one datum to another. And a lot of things I've been working on lately, I've been working on with the Corps of Engineers, as they got a lot of old maps from World War II that are on all these different datums. And we're having to get them, they want to get them into the NADA 3 so everything match up. And I'm talking about Bowdage, 1945 datum, different things like that. So
is that like microfilm type stuff?
No, I don't even know. I tell them how they can get the transformation, develop the transformation, and how they get the points and get it into the new one. That's their problem. But some of these old maps are in yards, not meters. They're on the international, if they have they're in the feet, they're in international feet. So you have to convert them to survey foot, things like that. So there's a whole bunch of different issues that we have out here in the Pacific that's a little different than CONUS.
That's what it sounds like. I'm going to ask a dumb question, then you can ask a more nerdy question. But how do you get all these different datums? Like, were people just conjuring up as needed, or was there?
Well,
why is there so many? Like when you mentioned, like all these different ones, is an entity made itself, or what?
USGS, back after the war, we have what we call the trust territories, and Hawaii was a territory. You had Guam, which was a territory, and American Samoa, which was a territory. They were all part of and Northern Marianas. They were all part of what we call the trust territories.
Okay.
There are other countries that are now countries that were part of the trust territories, like Palau, Federated States of Micronesia, and Marshall Islands. These are all places that we used during World War II to move our way toward the Philippines.
Okay.
So we set up datums on each one. They set up astrodatums on each one because we didn't have line of sight from one island to the other. So they used astrodatums. And so we have those and we know those factors. And then USGS came back and did in 65 and 66, they went through and surveyed all these islands and they came up with their datums and their plane coordinate systems. So we have those records of what the false teasing, false northing is, what the major point is of the coordinates and that. So we have all that information from USGS or the military. If they have it, I can get the information from NGA. Okay. They have all those factors. They have every datum that they use or every type of map they have has defining factors into the coordinate system. And once we get those, then once we know that, then I can use a program that will transform them.
Snap it into,
well, try to snap it into.
Yeah. Push the easy button.
Well, no, you convert it into latitude, longitude, then you take the latitude, longitude, you convert it, and then there's a program company called Blue Marble that has a transformation program that I use a lot. It will help me determine the transformation parameters.
Interesting.
I was just going to ask, what geoid do you guys use out here?
We use a GSR 80 geoid. Our geoid model we use, we use for geoid model, we're using geoid 12B.
12B, okay, interesting. CONUS uses 18 a lot.
Well, that's the new scientific one. They didn't include, when they did the scientific one, 18, they didn't include the Pacific. Because
I just learned something.
Sometimes it's better to be in the Pacific because then you don't get included in stuff and it's have a problem. But we are in the new, we've had GravD flown for the new datum, the new geopotential datum. All the islands have been flown. Everything's been done.
Okay.
And that was an effort because you had to stage everything on all these islands. It's not, like just drive down the road, drive down I-95 from Baltimore to, somewhere in North Carolina and go off. You got to get a plane there. You got to fly there. You got to work out of there. You got to have fuel to work out of there because some of these islands don't have a lot of fuel. Things like that.
So do you have to fly? Okay, maybe this is dumb, but you have to fly a plane, like cargo transport a plane to come and fly it? Like,
I fly between the islands. I've flown on military flights and I've flown on commercial United flights to all these islands that I go to. And since I've been here in 2002, I've flown 995,000 miles.
Yeah, that's a lot of frequent flyer.
Right.
Yeah, fair.
What else you got, Nick?
Yeah, I just want to ask, do you have any recommendations for the younger crowd getting into geospatial in general and surveying, geodesy, GIS? Any tips or tricks or suggestions?
A lot of people think it's real hard math to comprehend and do, but it's now with the computers and things like that, you can get formulas that are already on the computer. You can just use them and stuff like that. But if you should have a math background.
Okay.
But you don't have to. And for me, I'm a geodesist category in the government, and you have to have at least integral and differential calculus. But if you have other classes that in science and things like that, that helps you out. And taking a class, just a class in college of geography is a way to know, because you'd be surprised how many people I talk to that don't know where different places are. Just geography.
Oh, I mean,
not care about a datum.
Right. What hemisphere it's in.
I think in high school and in middle school anymore, geography is actually a required class. And so the statistics are really, really bad about that. But, fair. Yeah.
I remember when I was in elementary school back last century, you had to know the states and the capitals.
Alabama, right. Alaska, Arizona.
You know the song?
Yeah, but you got to go with the capitals too.
Yeah, I never made it through that.
Yeah, well, because now it's just all in your pocket. So
right.
Well, why know things? Because you could look it up. Really great stuff, Ed. Anything else you want to get out there? What's your experience been like at the conference so far?
Well, I've enjoyed it. I've been coming to these since, like I said, when they've had them in the old Hawaii Land Surveyors Association conferences. I've been coming since 2003, and this HI+IL and HI+IL combined. This is, I think, the fourth one, and I enjoy it because I get to talk to both surveyors and GIS people, and they can, learn something, and they can learn something from each other.
Sure. Yeah.
Because a lot of times, a while ago, maybe 10 years ago, surveyors had distrust in GIS people, and GIS people had distrust in surveyors. But now they're finding out that they're all together and they need to work together.
Yeah, that's well said. Last question. Might sound a little odd, but do you have a mantra that you live by?
I have one that my father taught me and said, anytime when everything's really bad and the sky's gray and everything's falling apart, he says, just remember the sun's going to rise in the east tomorrow. And if it doesn't, we're all in trouble.
Thanks. I love it. Oh, that's great stuff. Ed, I learned a lot. Appreciate your time, and then enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Mahalo.